getting a Mandalorian where he needs to go. Here's your look at the Hasbro Star Wars Mission Fleet Razorcrest. The Razorcrest is the Mandalorian's trusty transport and living quarters as he scours the Outer Rim for fugitives to catch. The Star Wars Mission Fleet Mandalorian toy comes with detachable jetpack and 6 detachable blaster accessories. Kids 4 and up will love imagining daring escapes and exciting chases with the Star Wars Mission Fleet Razorcrest figure and vehicle set. Some pretty cool new Star Wars stuff from the folks over at Hasbro. Before we get a closer look, though, at the Star Wars Mission Fleet Razorcrest and the figurines that come included with it, I'm sure you guys are probably curious as to how big the vehicle actually is. So, happy to oblige. I'm going to bring in my ruler. Lengthwise, from the front of the ship to the back, the Razorcrest is 12 inches in length, or about 31 centimeters long. And then, if you wanted to see how high it is, it would be helpful, of course, if I spin the ruler around. There we go. From the bottom to the very top of the ship, if you can include, of course, the firing missiles on the top, then the Razorcrest is about 5.5 inches tall, or about 14 centimeters tall. Quite a lot of stuff really comes included with the Razorcrest. Not only do you get the vehicle, but you also get mini figurines that can sit inside of Din, the Mandalorian, of course, and Baby Grogu. Not to mention as well a bunch of different firepower that you can either have displayed in the Mandalorian's hand or stored inside the ship. And I think that's really cool. I'm going to show you how that works in a second. I'm sure also, in case you guys were curious as to how big the Mandalorian figure, I'm going to also bring in my ruler a second time in this review. The Mandalorian is about 2.5 inches in height, or it's about 6 centimeters tall. Going to move that out of the way now. Getting a closer look, maybe we'll pick up the Mandalorian so you guys can see what it looks like up close. It's a slightly smaller, more stylized look to the Mandalorian, but it still captures, I would think, all the nice features on the armor of the Mandalorian. We're going to spin this around so you can see it on the back. He's got the cape. The cape technically is removable as well. If you did want to remove the cape, you just go ahead first of all and remove the head. You don't really have to remove the head, but I find it's a lot easier to get the cape out because the cape is plugged into the back of his torso. You can completely remove this. This is also going to come quite handy when it comes to him sitting inside of the Razorcrest, because with the cape already in place, you're not really going to be able to bend the legs and have him sitting inside. It seems right now a little strange that the Mandalorian doesn't have his head. We're going to get back to that in a second. The figure also comes included with a jetpack. It's a bit on the oversized size, but it fits well in this particular scale. It's kind of more of a cuter sized Mandalorian. We're going to go ahead and pop his head back into place. That's what the Mandalorian looks like with his jetpack on his back. As an adult, I can find enjoyment in this. As a child, I would have loved this set. I always liked the idea of getting Star Wars miniatures. Back in the day, they were all metal, and you sort of had little play sets. Certainly not to the scope of what we're getting right now. Again, like I said, the Mandalorian does have the means to sit down inside the cockpit of the Razorcrest, which I'll do in a second. But the figure's articulation, the head is obviously on a ball joint. You probably already saw the way I removed it. The arms are also on slight hinge joints, so you can kind of bring them out a little bit. You can see there's the hinge joint underneath. Not really much to work with. The arms do at least rotate all the way around. There's hand swivel. There's no waist swivel, but at least the legs go forward and back. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it when it comes to Mandalorian. We'll also have a look at the Baby Grogu that comes included with this as well. Baby Grogu can sit inside, of course. And this, of course, all of this actually can sit also inside the cockpit. Going to do more of that in a second. Baby Grogu, we're going to go pull him out for a second here. The only articulation really on this figure is just the ball joint in his head, which I think is more than enough. I mean, for its size and scale, I mean, it's a pretty cute little rendition of Baby Grogu. See, from all the sides. Very little paint really happening here. If anything, it's just the orb that he has in his hand and the colored painted in eyes. Other than that, it looks like they're just basically using the molded plastic. And of course, they would have painted the feet and painted the hands also there as well. Little cute miniature Grogu. And of course, we can put him back in there as well. Now, the figure comes included with, like I said, a whole bunch of different accessories. I'm not going to kind of cover off each of the individual weapons and talk a lot about it. They're basically just varying different blasters. He does, of course, come with the Mandalorian rifle, other rifles and guns that we certainly would have seen from the series. They're all molded here in different colors of plastic. It looks like the rifle has probably been molded in brown, whereas like the blaster here looks like it's been actually molded in black. He's also got this one here as well. I'm not going to, again, spend a lot of time doing this. A traditional Stormtrooper blaster. And then he's got a couple of smaller ones also as well. These so easily lost if I'm not too careful. The Mandalorian pistol and just a regular pistol as well. Again, not much really happening here in the way of paint, but at least they're sculpted nice little accessories. And all of these accessories also can be housed or attached to the hands. Go ahead and just attach those. And neat thing about it is they've actually sculpted the finger to look like it's actually holding the trigger. There you go. And you can do the exact same thing on the other side as well. Let's take a smaller blaster, fit that into his hand. So yeah, you can definitely double wield weapons here when it comes to Mandalorian. Such a neat looking figure. Not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but certainly if you like the smaller scale, I mean, kids, like I said, are going to absolutely love these. As a kid, or as a grown-up child myself, I just love these. I think they're super cool. I'm going to put that down. I think the real star of the show, of course, is the Razorcrest. Well, a little bit of thing I'll also talk about as well. To come include with the vehicle, you do get yourself a very mild, easy-to-read instruction guide. First of all, the vehicle out of packaging, very little in the way of assembly. The front of the package, or the front of the instruction booklet, basically just shows you the thing that has to be primarily attached. The main thruster bay actually has to be attached to the top of the ship, and then you have to add the side firing missiles. On the inside as well, you have to take this top cannon, and that plugs into two different places, which I had to kind of take a double take for a second, thinking I may have lost something. The way that they've actually got C and D, well, first of all, A, B, C, D, and then you've got the cannons here on the side. I thought we would have actually had all of these included inside the ship. Not the case. In fact, you actually only get one cannon, and these are the different options that are available. So it can go A into the middle point, B at the back, C on either side, which I guess is one of the reasons why they made the cannons here of a lighter color, that it gave you other options. But I think they probably should have done just a primary A, and then also maybe given you arrows to show you that it could have gone into other places. Maybe I wasn't using my brain, but immediately I just sort of looked at it and thought, am I missing extra guns? Not the case at all. I was just being silly. It also shows you also available, if you do pick up the standalone speeder bike, that can actually be something that slides into the back opening cockpit bay that can actually slide into the back of the Razorcrest. Maybe I might be something that I'll pick up later on. And then it also shows you as well how the panels also open up to the side of the ship and how to store the weapons inside. Like I said, there's going to be a lot that we're going to cover off in this review. I'm going to move the instruction guide aside. I can't really believe that I thought there was going to be extra cannons. Let me just again show you here. For assembly, I'm going to go ahead and kind of start with the beginning here. This whole top section here was a separate piece. You can really see a nice detailing on even the interior section of something you wouldn't have normally seen in this inside the ship. But this is a separate piece. And of course the cannon, that's a separate piece too. When you get this out of the packaging, the only assembly that's really required is that there's a little tab point here that lines up and works with this button. You just take the front of it and you slide it in on an angle. Slide it on an angle, and then you snap it in place. And then just to deploy it or eject it, you just press that button to open up. That allows you to really get inside and see like the inner workings of the ship. Snap that back. The only other thing that I had to do was install these side cannons with already the firing missiles. I slid those into. They operate with, of course, the buttons on the top there that will fire off. Careful, careful. Fire off one missile. Fire off missile number 2, keeping it at least in the area where I still be able to find it. And then you have to add the 2 missiles onto the top cannon, which again can either go middle area A, or foolishly thinking there's more than one of them, they can also attach to the side above one thruster and repeating it over here as well, or you can also have it on the back. Now for me, I would much rather, I think, display the Razorcrest with it right in the middle. So I'm going to stick with point A and kind of leave that as my permanent place. You can see there's the top of the cannon here, and it works the same way. You've got the top firing missile button. Firing that, pressing it, it basically cycles through. It goes pew pew. Doesn't have to necessarily make that sound. And now I've got all these extra missiles fired across. Anyways, that's what it looks like. Very, like I said, little in the way of assembly that was really required for this. Now, let's actually show you guys. I'm going to pick this back up. I didn't really need to put it back down at all, and just lift the cockpit up so you can see the inside. On the front seat will allow there to be a place for the Mandalorian to sit, and then on the back, right at the back there's also a section where Grogu can actually sit. So we're going to take Grogu, first of all, and you really don't even have to remove him from this. You can easily just put the both inside. And that actually gives him an extra little bit of stability, so the figure's not going to be moving around while he's flying around the ship in your house. Then we can take the Mandalorian. And of course, we will want to have to take the backpack off. put that to the side. Just take the legs and fold the legs, and then pick up the ship and slide him straight inside. One thing I did notice while sliding him inside is that the arms, you really have to kind of take the arms and tuck them in just a little bit so he'll fit properly inside of his seat. And once everything's good to go, then you can go ahead and just lower the canopy, and you can snap that in place. And now you have both figures sitting inside of the Razorcrest. Some other things that actually have functioning doors here. There's one door right here that in all the cases seems like you have to get your finger in there. Just open that up. And inside, there's not much to really see. There's a lot of sticker applications on the inside of the Razorcrest, but there's like a little storage area there where you can store a few things. Or again, if you have yourself the speeder bike's really neat because again, you can take the back door here, open this up. It helps more so if you have longer nails. You can open that up and you literally just take a speeder bike and slide it straight through. There is also one other door too on this side. Get again your finger. I really should have had the longer nails for this, but go ahead and open that up. And then again, on the inside, you kind of see more the inner workings of the ship. Again, a lot of sticker application here and here. And we spin this around to the other side here. This side doesn't have doors, but still, though, it's nicely finished. I mean, they've added the additional paintwork here on the side. But this basically isn't the show side, as Julia Child would say. This is pretty much the side that does all the work. So it's nice to see that you've got all these extra doors. You also see something on the back that almost looks like a slab of carbonite. It isn't. What it is, though, is it's a place, a storage bay, where basically you can take all your weapons and clip them into place. If I could offer up any little bit of criticism, the only thing is dealing with larger man hands like this. Not to say that a kid would have an easier time doing this, but it's a little more difficult to get all of the guns actually in place, because you have to kind of put them further back. See what I mean? I'm kind of doing it. It also helps too if you kind of have it slightly tilted down, slightly tilted on an angle, and then you can tab those into place. If you feel like you don't have the right one in the right place, I mean, it's basically shape for shape. See the clip right there? So like I've got that in the wrong spot, so that's going to go right here. And you just literally rinse and repeat until you've eventually got all the blasters in place. At least they're storage, so I'll give it that. But it was a little more difficult. I wish this could have just easily detached, could have put all the guns in place, and then you could have clipped that back in, so you wouldn't have to try to feed back yourself, your fingers, to actually get the guns in place. And then when everything's good to go, then of course you can close this up, close the sides up, and close also the door. So you basically have two doors on the side, one main door that opens on the back to, of course, exit out the back of the ship, or again, if you wanted to bring in a speeder bike. And again, there's the canopy that opens up to reveal the two figures inside. That being said, let's sort of get a good look at all the detail work that they've actually put in here. Primarily, the Razorcrest is more of a lighter gray plastic. Still, there's opportunities that they have made by adding some additional paintwork, and even really the sculpting is really good on this, for considering this as being more of a kid's toy. I think Hasbro still has done a pretty good job of actually detailing this thing. Every bit of nook and cranny on this ship has detailing, even like the little landing struts, which aren't something that can retract back in. I mean, these are permanently going to be out on top of the ship. You've also got the thrusters here on the top, which have some additional darker coloring of gray that they've airbrushed on there. So really showing the exit point, the exhaust coming out on the top of the thrusters. Yeah, like I said, it's a really neat looking ship. I mean, again, for the gimmick end of it, gimmick is the fact it does have the firing missiles, which I'm going to have to now retrieve off to the side. And again, you don't really have to even put the missiles in there at all. If anything, I might even just take and put the missiles onto the top of the cannon, which again, just snap into place until you're ready to fire them off again. Now, I think as well, Hasbro's doing a whole bunch of these different Star Wars mission fleets, not maybe ones even just specific to the Mandalorian. I really like the way that the Razorcrest, though, turned out. It's a smaller scale ship. First of all, it would look great on a shelf. Like, even if this is something that's geared, I would imagine, more towards the kids, I think the older collectors out there that's collecting Star Wars vehicles will be still pretty keen on picking this up, because it's a smaller scale Razorcrest that you can put on the shelf, and it has the bonus benefits of having also the little miniature figurines that are going to sit inside the cockpit. You've got the extra blasters. You've got, again, different doors and panels that can open up on the Razorcrest. There's a lot of activity, a lot of playability that you can get from the Razorcrest. A job well done from the folks over at Hasbro. Retrieving the Razorcrest missiles. Thank goodness it didn't fire across the room, or even worse, my cat would have grabbed one of them and took off. Because you know that's going to happen when you have a tiny little kitten that wants to grab and steal everything, especially the little miniature things. There is a lot of miniatures that are going to go along, of course, with the Mission Fleet Razorcrest, so caution should be there, of course, if you have smaller siblings or even animals. Those little smaller firing missiles and the little blasters that come included with, of course, are prone to be something that could be stolen, swallowed if you're not too careful. So I can certainly understand why there's the choking hazard of children. It's not recommended for children under 3 years of age for obvious reasons. Kids want to put everything into their mouth. But, you know, certainly as it goes for just a display piece, I mean, again, for me, when I'm reviewing things like this, I have to kind of look at them like, if I was a kid, which is not far of a stretch, really, if I am a kid and I'm looking at something like this, would I get a lot of fun out of it? And I would say yes. I didn't have Mandalorian certainly growing up, but I would certainly get on board a smaller scale vehicle with figurine set where I'd be able to fly this around the living room. The Razorcrest got a lot of really interesting details, and I do like the idea that they've actually got opening doors. Little panels on the side of the ship that can open up. So it's not just a case where you always have to open the canopy to get access to the only thing that's really open on the figure. No, you can take the entire thruster section and just remove it completely off the top of the Razorcrest to actually gain access to the inside of it. There's a lot of storage capabilities there. At least there's also a storage place to put all the guns. So if you're again worried about the things getting lost or little tiny kittens or siblings stealing them, you can easily, well, not so super easily, but at least you can actually put the extra blasters on the inside of the Razorcrest hull. I just wish there was an easier way to actually be able to take the weapons tray and just detach it completely from the wall. We could put the guns in it, and then, of course, then you could snap it back inside. It's just because my larger sized hands, even though I don't have the largest of hands around, my large enough hands were a little more of a tougher time getting those blasters attached to the weapons rack. Still really nice work, though, on Hasbro's part. And like I said, this is the Mission Fleet of the Razorcrest, but advertised even on the top of the box. They've advertised other vehicles as well, something I would almost even consider picking up. Gearing, of course, these towards younger kids. Not to say that an adult couldn't pick up a Razorcrest like this and have a lot of fun not only playing with it, but also putting it on a shelf and displaying it, as it certainly makes for a much smaller Razorcrest to have on your shelf space. A big thank you once again from the folks at Hasbro. They did provide the sample of the store's Mission Fleet Razorcrest that we could have a look at in this review. What do you guys think of the vehicle? Let me know down below in the comment section. Even though if you are maybe an older viewer, is this still something that you guys would consider picking up? I think I would have a fun time picking several of these different vehicles at my local Toys R Us. Luckily here in Canada, we still have our Toys R Us. I'm going to see if maybe they have other vehicles available that I can pick up. And if I do, future reviews of these will be coming soon to the channel. If you are new to this channel, by the way, and you're enjoying the content that you guys have been seeing, maybe have a problem with little kitties stealing missiles, firing missiles are the worst. My little tiny Tuck, man, he steals everything. If it fires across the room, you better grab it right away, because if not, Tiny Tuck's going to grab that. His name really isn't Tiny Tuck, it's just Tuck. But Tiny Tuck certainly will grab that missile and take off with it before you know it. You blink, it's gone. But if you guys are new to this channel, please make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, turn on the bell notification, and keep peepers peeled. Well, we have wrapped up things here for the Mission Fleet Razorcrest. There will be more Star Wars reviews coming your way, so make sure, yes, you're keeping your peepers peeled to this channel. As always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.